And you have to say Real Madrid very much the favourites going into that second leg at the Santiago Bernabeu as we welcome in Luis Garcia is with us, as is Jan Aage, Fjortoft. We'll be hearing from the boys in a moment. But Craig, another great Champions League game.
Yeah,
We've been spoiled, haven't we, of late?
No, and as I said yesterday, with City going out, who are such a dominant team in terms of possession, that it would be more even in terms of a football game. And even within this game, I was still surprised, and maybe I shouldn't be, that how Real Madrid go into the shell at times. And I know they're very good at it, but you think, sometimes I'm just thinking, come on, you know, if you'd really get on the front foot at this defence, there's maybe more for you to get out of this game, because we saw as the game progressed where the weak points really are in this Bayern side, and ultimately that's what might cost them. But they do sort of regress a little bit, Real Madrid, at times into this shape, and it's a very good shape. But it was an excellent game again. You know, for those people that are harping on about away goals, been abandoning all that, and seem to have nothing else better to do with their life. It's been okay this year, been more than okay, some of these games. And you know, Bayern will rue a couple of things. The chances early on, clearly, with the fill for Leroy Sané, the defending. He did make some tactical changes at the half-time, switching wide players and bringing Guerrero on, and making a few tweaks in the middle. That helped him. But I think both managers will be relatively happy with what they've got, setting it up for a great game at the Bernabeu.
It's funny, isn't it? Because the way that Bayern started, wow, they really are going for it. They were by far the better side. And then it's just that one moment, isn't it? That Toni Kroos pass into Vinicius Jr., who gets obviously past Kim, and that changed the whole first half.
It did. But you also are sitting back saying, well, that's Real Madrid right there.
Yeah, exactly.
They're absorbing a whole lot of pressure. Yes, it feels like they're out of sorts. It feels like they're vulnerable. It feels like this is the time for Bayern Munich to take advantage. That the center back is going to come and try to jump the passing lane. And once Kim Min-jae takes a step forward, now Vini Jr. is spinning out and he's gone. And Kim Min-jae coming out that far with no pressure on the passer, in this case Toni Kroos, it opened up a whole gap for Toni Kroos to say, yep, here you go, Vini. Beautiful pace on the ball. It is really, really poor defending from Kim Min-jae. And the mistake is not only trying to step to a ball that you're never going to get to, but it's also not reading the fact that there's no pressure on Toni Kroos. If there's no pressure on the passer of the ball, you can't go step out there, because now there's nobody to cover you in behind, and you've now opened up a passing lane. Beautifully taken from Vini Jr., beautifully taken from Toni Kroos. And as you said, it changed the dynamic of the game. And again, Thomas Tuchel, first 15, 20 minutes, you're seeing him, and he's like, he's in the silent, he's animated. Why is he animated? Because I think he felt like this was a race horse and the closing stretch. That sometimes Bayern Munich needs a little bit of a whip by the jockey, and that's what he was like, come on, boys, here we go. We got them in front of us. They're exposed, they're vulnerable. They didn't take advantage of that, and they allowed Real Madrid to take advantage of what was a first half that should have gone in Bayern Munich's direction.
So then you kind of wondered, well, what sort of Bayern Munich would we see in the second half, Lewis? As Craig said, of course, tactical changes by Thomas Tuchel, but it was individual brilliance, wasn't it, that saw them get back into this game?
Yeah, exactly. I think that the changes help on that, because it's true that Sané in the first half, he was facing maybe in the first or second chance, but then he disappeared a little bit. They were not receiving the ball. Musiala exactly the same. And the change, swapping to the wide areas, the Musiala to the left and Sané to the right, I think they help them a lot, because they go in favor of the proper foot, to the good foot. He's trying to making diagonals and facing the players on 1v1 situation. And because the two centre-backs are holding Harry Kane in the middle, he's holding them, they cannot help to the players on the wide areas. It's a lot better for Bayern Munich. Of course, in the end, it's the talent and the quality of the players, and the mistakes of the defenders, who kind of lean this type on one or the other. But I think that the two teams put a fantastic effort, and for me, Bayern should have done a little bit better. They had the chances, they have the opportunity, and if you leave an animal like Real Madrid alive for the second leg, I think that you're going to be in trouble. But yeah, top game from both sides.
Bayern have had a poor season, obviously. Sané part of that, Jan. His first goal in 6 months. That's silly.
Yeah, it's unbelievable when you see his Bundesliga form, but in the Champions League he's been good. And on a night where Arjen Robben was in the stadium, he also used to say about Toni Kroos, this is a player who can only play sideways. So that was an answer to him as well. But I will say, when we sum up this game, I think you are a bit too pessimistic on behalf of Bayern. Bayern is a good counter team.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a moment, Jan.
Sorry,
we'll look
sorry.
ahead to the second leg. I asked you about Sané. You
you
take me to Cruz, Oli Honas.
Yeah, but it's belonged to it. I can say a lot about Leroy Sané playing through his injuries. He's been injured. He hasn't been training lately. Still managed to get into the team. Still very much trusted by Thomas Tuchel. And in a time when Thomas Tuchel has said that he can't develop players, I think that he has managed in times to make Leroy Sané a better football player.
This is marvellous. Yeah, and that's why I love Jan. It's just he's taken it. He was already, I think, blaming us for ruling Bayern Munich out in the second leg. And I don't, unless I've got a hearing problem. We haven't even talked about that yet, Jan. Nobody's mentioned Real Madrid and who's going to. But I tell you,
Craig, put yourself in a hotel in Salzburg and come after you boys. Then you will go the same strategy.
But I tell you, that's the difference. Have you watched? Let's go back to what the Achilles heel is. You know, Eric. The words I never thought I would say. Eric Dyer was the linchpin in the centre-half partnership.
Yep.
And I think we saw why Kim has been dropped this season, why De Ligt has been dropped this season at times, which wasn't available. Upamecano's been dropped and benched. And you looked at it and you went, player of the season in Italy, defensive player of the year. I don't know, maybe that says more about another league, or it doesn't.
Don't start. Don't upset the Italians.
I don't know, but he's not having a good time. But two things with the goal. One, when you have players as quick as Real Madrid, and they don't have a natural front man, but they have two guys in a hybrid role a lot of the times in Rodrigo and Vinicius, that's the danger. They don't have to worry about it from a central position because Harry Kane's not going to be able to do that. With Real Madrid, this is a big worry. And they got burned, and he got burned badly. And the first thing he did, he looked round, and what he wanted was Joshua Kimmich to be holding his hand. Right. Now, if you watch the play when he got sucked in, and he got sucked in back, he went for it big time. I mean, he bought the ticket as soon as he went short. He didn't just go a little bit and go, hold on, I'll balance this out. He went bang, straight in behind. And Kimmich was stuck, as Ali said, there was no pressure on the ball, so he was stuck between, I don't want to tuck in too much because that's the easy out ball over to the wide position, and then I'm not going to be able to get out. So his position really was kind of natural, and that left a big gap. Gets his head up, the centre-half makes a bad decision, there's a gaping hole, there's only him and Modric really in this team that are going to absolutely slice that pass, and that's the problem for Bayern Munich. That's always going to be the problem for them. That if they step out to these players and leave that gap in behind, that's going to be a huge worry.
But it just wasn't Bayern who were vulnerable defensively. Yeah. Real Madrid, of course, saw Sané do that, and then Lucas Vázquez with a lazy leg and gives away the penalty.
Yeah. And so the vulnerabilities of Real Madrid were there. The high pressure of Bayern Munich were creating all sorts of issues. For the first 15 or 20 minutes, and this is no exaggeration, for the first 15 or 20 minutes, Real Madrid could not complete 4 or 5 passes. They had difficulties just building out of the back. And sometimes we think about what are some of the big misses for Real Madrid? Who are they missing? And you're thinking, okay, well, they missed the goals of Karim Benzema. More so than the goals, in a game like today where you're being high pressed, Karim Benzema was usually the guy that would be an outlet, that you go and play the ball to him, and he now releases the pressure because he has that kind of quality. Well, they don't have that in the team right now. And so when you go and high press Real Madrid, and you do it in the manner in which Bayern Munich did for the first 15 and 20 minutes, and they're going for a long ball, there's nobody to play that long ball to. So either you get the ball over the top of everybody and try to have Vinicius get on the end of it, or you simply don't have a way out. You don't quite have a guy that can hold the ball up and say, okay, I'll be the outlet, I'll make the next decision so that then we can get out. The problem that Bayern Munich had is that they allow the game to settle down. Yeah. And in allowing the game to settle down, then Toni Kroos can take over. Then you can get the combination play. Then you can take the possession into the attacking half, and you start dictating, which is what usually Real Madrid does very well through Toni Kroos. If you allow the game to calm down, then Real Madrid becomes very dangerous because now they control the pace of the game. They speed it when they want to, and they want to take advantage of Rodrigo and Vini Jr., or they slow it down and now start keeping the ball and have you chase around. That's what they did for the middle part of the game. That's why they were controlling.
Think about this. I'll get to it in a minute. Interestingly, Bellingham,
he didn't have a good game, did he?
No,
he said he had cramps after 60 minutes. He was, of course, taken off, and Modric coming on. But overall, for a man,
he had cramps. After
he said cramps. That's what they were saying.
Yeah,
that's what Ancelotti said afterwards.
Start hydrating then.
It's quite strange that these, particularly a guy as fit, as young as him. But to go back to just briefly go back to Bayern Munich. If they were to go through, and it's still, as Jan said, I'm being sarcastic, it is very much still possible. Of course it is, absolutely. But you think about this back line, and that's what worries me.
So take me through the penalty.
You can't. Whenever you dangle your leg in a ball, you're talking about the Vasquez.
The Real Madrid penalty that was awarded to them.
He gets himself in a bad position again. He gets rolled, and then he dangles the leg. I mean, short of Thomas Tuchel in this physio room chucking the physios out going, get me a centre-half that's fit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is a problem, and I never thought that would be the case at the start of the season with this player. Mm-hmm. And I thought Eric Dyer coming in would be a massive headache for them, and actually it's not, it's the others. It's the others around him that are more of the headache, but this, I think, could come back and bite them. But again, you got a right-back who wants to play midfield, and who's effectively, that's where he's played for years now, and Kimmich. You got a centre-half in Dyer, who is the best they've got at the moment. An out-of-form Kim, an out-of-form Upamecano, an injured De Ligt, and then he doesn't want to play Davies at full-back, and he's got Mazraoui over there. It's a bit of a shambles of a back four, and yet they're still in this tie.
How do we get to this, Jan? Because obviously at the start of the season, you look at Upamecano and you look at Kim coming in, and you think, oh, this is a solid back line for which Bayern can build on, but Kim has never shown that sort of form that we saw in Italy last season.
I just think that it's just one of the mystery of football. How is it possible to be a giant and be, sorry for the expression, useless as he was today? The problem with Tuchel is not that he's going to the physios and ask me, give me a centre-half that is fit. It's his go to his management and give me a centre-half that is good. Upamecano, every time he plays, he has some mistake somewhere. There's always a mistake, which is also a mystery because he's in around France. France will be one of the favourites to win the championship this summer, the Euros. De Ligt came as a boss. He should be the boss at the back. Hasn't succeeded. Yes, he's out now and maybe didn't play. The thing is with Dyer, and it's interesting what Craig is saying, I was, as a lot of people, were sceptical when he came to Bayern, but he's a very smart centre-half. So when he plays against quick people, I compare him a bit with Mats Hummels. He knows what he can do. He knows his weaknesses. He knows when to drop off, not to be taken 1-against-1. And Dyer is now one of the first one on the starting 11 for Tuchel. And I think that is the problem for Bayern going to Santiago Bernabeu, because you know that they will create more. You know that the Santiago Bernabeu will push them forward. And with that back four, I think Neuer had some good saves today, has to be said. Maybe, I don't know if you saw it, but maybe you should come earlier on the first goal. Maybe. But at least he is back in form.
Was it the semi-final last year, Real Madrid, Man City? I can't remember. Bayern Munich. Was it a year or two ago when Upamecano? I'm throwing these out here.
When
Upamecano
not last year.
Went to the Etihad and had that horrendous game.
Shocker.
So we're seeing it again.
Yes,
I think the Upamecano was more of a shocker.
Yeah.
That you could argue, I suppose. But again, that's what's he going to do? And it's a week. He's only got a week. He's got a week to think about it.
Of course, that's going to be next Wednesday. Luis, they'll be so disappointed the manner of conceding that penalty, and of course, it does give Real Madrid, you feel, that initiative, that momentum going into the second leg.
Yeah, exactly, because you managed to get a comeback against a Real Madrid that and Ali mentioned it, they know how to speed up the tempo and slow it down, and they were under control. They were dominating, even though the Bayern Munich had the ball, but they knew that they were not being a threat, that they were controlling at the back, not conceding chances. So in a good counter-attack, that you're always going to have the chance. So when you're going ahead 2-1 against Real Madrid, you cannot make mistakes. No one. We saw Bayern Munich just happy with that, controlling. Let's say, okay, a 2-1. Let's see if we can manage to get the third one. But at least we are good. We can go to the Santiago Bernabeu with a little bit of advantage, and then with our transition, quick players, Gnabry will be back. The league maybe is going to be back. Some important player for the team. We can manage to score a goal to create again. But I think that you cannot allow these kind of mistakes, because I think Kim read it bad, made it a wrong challenge when you don't need, because you can battle with the hands. You're a big guy. You need to make yourself strong into the box, but never put a leg in between the player, because even though if you think that you're going to arrive, we've seen it so far with Araujo in a couple of chances. We've seen it with Lucas Vázquez, so you know that you cannot get any risk. And it was a massive, massive mistake, because it cost you a goal that maybe can put you out of the competition when you go to Real Madrid.
Your face is a picture. Whenever I ask, whenever I say, remember that game last year?
I don't remember any games.
No, and I remember when I'm looking across at you, you're going, oh, for God's sake, no, don't go there.
I can't remember what game we did yesterday. I know in Barcelona.
I'm struggling to remember this one. I moved on.
That's it. It's just the nature, just the way we work. Yeah, would you like to look ahead to the second leg?
Oh, I would love to. I mean, the obvious one you've talked about, of course, with Real Madrid and Santiago Bernabeu. I just want to warn the Real Madrid fans a bit, because Bayern, as they have in Musiala and Sané, top counter-attacking players. And also Harry Kane is a good counter-attack player, because then he goes a bit deeper. He takes more than 9.5. He's more like a playmaker kind of player. They showed at Arsenal as well. They did a good game. And the two different phases now of Bayern, one in the Bundesliga and one in the Champions League. So this game is not gone at all. I think that Bayern still got a chance to knock Real Madrid out.
And they'd learned their lessons, Luis, wouldn't it? You look at Manchester City, who were all about trying to pass them to death in that second leg. Bayern, just run at them. Just get your good, quick players to run at this Real Madrid defence and try and cause some havoc.
Yeah, exactly, because physically Real Madrid is not a team who can handle 90 minutes at top speed. And Bayern, yes, Bayern can bring you that high intensity, that energy in the last third. They got players on the field and also on the bench that can bring those 1v1 situations, put you under pressure every single time. And that's something that Real Madrid doesn't like. Every single time that they have the ball, they were trying to slow it down, to keep the control, because you don't want a crazy game with quick transition and open game. You want that when you are at the back controlling, sitting down, low block, and then quick transitions to Vinicius Juniors and Rodrigo. But when you go against them with players on the wide areas trying to run to the space, putting under pressure, that's something that Real Madrid doesn't like. They struggle with that. And if at the Bernabeu they're going to try to open up, try to go and show to the crowd that they are at the Bernabeu, they don't want to play, dominated the game, they're going to have problems, because Jan just mentioned, you got players, Musiala, that never stop to think about just grab the ball and face you. He never put the ball down. The only thing he's got in his head is going forward. That's something that for Real Madrid is not easy to handle, because in the middle of the party, they don't have players who can run during 90 minutes.
What I find interesting as well is the approach of Carlo Ancelotti in this second leg, because we mentioned that Thomas Tuchel changed Musiala and Leroy Sané and changed the size, and he made the change at halftime. So he made his tactical changes and his technical changes. Also did Ancelotti. When Real Madrid went down, instead of having Vini Jr. and Rodrigo in a more central position, all of a sudden you find Rodrigo all the way on the right-hand side and Vini on the left-hand side. And the isolation against Joshua Kimmich and isolation against Noussair Mazraoui. And say, all right, well, let's see if you can handle this, guys. But in order for that to be successful and effective for Real Madrid, then Jude Bellingham has to be a presence coming out of the midfield. And today, Ancelotti made a big decision. They're down in the game. And he said, Jude, who has been his best player this season, come and sit on the bench. That's a big call to make. And I think it speaks to the lack of performance or underwhelming performance and disappointing performance of Jude Bellingham, but it also speaks to the need of the team at the moment, and that Carlo Ancelotti is willing to say, no. We got to change something, and how are we going to change it? How are we going to impact the game? Brahim Diaz has been good. Let's put him on the field. So if indeed they're going to play Vini wide on the left and Rodrigo wide on the right, that central position has to be occupied by Jude Bellingham, and the best version of Jude Bellingham, early season Jude Bellingham. If that's the case, it's difficult for Bayern Munich to address those runs because they have difficulty tracking runners coming out of the midfield. It's one of the problems that they have in that midfield area, even with Konrad Laimer, Goretzka, Guerreiro, whoever plays in that area. Tracking runners out of the midfield is an issue, and then the center backs have issues recognizing those runs coming from late.
It's going to be good, isn't it?
Yeah, should be a cracker. Still, I'm at risk of upsetting a man in an Austrian hotel. I'm going to do it because he's a few thousand miles away. I think Bayern have clearly superseded what this season was going to be all about for them. As we got into sort of January, February, certainly into March, it was damage limitation, and at the moment it can be a fair bit better than that, but I just think they're going to run their course, and I think these deficiencies that they have at the back are going to be exposed in the Bernabeu. I don't think it's going to be a walkover, but I think Real Madrid are going to go through still. Yeah,
and is there any sort of regret amongst the Bayern Munich hierarchy that maybe they pulled the trigger too soon on Thomas Tuchel?
No, not at all. I mean, opposite. They try now to go backwards and say there's so many things Tuchel is doing wrong. He can't develop players. He doesn't like young people. He only wants finished article. That's what Uli Hoeneß did for fun on Friday, as you know. The latest is now that Ralf Rangnick will be the new coach of Bayern Munich. I spoke to a guy very close now just before I came on, closer and closer to sign a deal. Maybe on Thursday that will be officially announced. So Ralf Rangnick will come in, 65 years of age. He's the national coach of Austria at the moment. He wants to decide everything at Bayern, which can be very interesting when they have Christoph Rein, Max Eberl, Dresden, Heiner, Hoeneß and Rummenigge.
But if they go on and win the Champions League, Jan, there's no, oops, we should have maybe kept this guy.
We did it again.
No, not at all. Thomas Tuchel, this was the deal. This is what they decided to do. And mind you, they did this at a time where it was very, very bad. The alternative was to fire him, but they didn't want an interim coach. Then they wanted Alonso, and Alonso said, no, I stay. Mrs. Hoeneß said, that shows that Alonso has character, did Uli Hoeneß say. And then Nagelsmann said, no, I don't want to come back to the same people who fired me while I was in a ski holiday. And now they're going for Ralf Rangnick as the new coach. And Thomas Tuchel will just think that what happened at the end of the season when they told me that I can't develop players and I maybe win the Champions League for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, his stock obviously was quite low at that stage. Manchester United.
How did I manage to squeeze them?
Hey, there you go. There you are. Rangnick at Bayern and Thomas Tuchel going the other way. Here we go then. Luis, who is going to be in the final?
You really want my answer?
I got your honest opinion. I don't know if we're going to get that.
It cannot be Barcelona, Luis.
Yes.
Cannot be.
Or Atletico Madrid.
Honestly, guys, it's very difficult. I mean, I can think about it, I can analyze and everything. Right now, I think that the Real Madrid is favorite because they're going to play at the Bernabeu. But that's it. Not because I think that they are playing better, not because I think they got more talent or more quality or more idea about what to do against these Bayern Munich. That's the only thing that this Real Madrid makes me feel that they are favorites. We've seen so far in the past 5 years how Real Madrid has been making comebacks when they play at home, how they manage the situation, that mentality, that background, that history of this team kind of influence what the opponent is doing at the stadium. So that's the only thing, because if it's about football, you guys watch Real Madrid with me every single weekend. You know that the Real Madrid doesn't have the same arguments. When you go against them, Vinicius Junior, Jude Bellingham, Rodrigo are the only ones who can provide something different, who can make this team go forward. But apart from that, you don't see a pattern of play. You don't see a team that is got an idea, a plan, or something special that can make go through. I think Bayern has got more options to bring something different on the field, but you play at the Bernabeu, so yeah.
Right. Politician Luis Garcia, who is going to be in the final? Who's going through?
Is there an answer there?
It's not an answer. Why you put me under pressure? I don't want to say Real Madrid. You don't see that it's difficult.
They said it. That's it.
We'll edit that at that part.
Exactly.
Said Real Madrid.
Yeah, Real Madrid, definitely. 100%, no doubt. Bayern haven't got a chance. That's what I heard. Yeah. Right then, Fjortoft, what do you say?
I would say it's going to be a replay of the 2013 final at Wembley. It's going to be Dortmund against Bayern. And the reason is that Dortmund have that team that used to play in the Bundesliga. They've been told to go on holiday, and the Champions League team will play tomorrow against PSG, and they will go through over 2 games. So it's going to be an all-German final.
But what is it with these people that cover the jet? What's wrong with you? You're not.
What did I do? I said Real Madrid.
Did you not get the memo about this? Well, no. Anybody that's covering the Bundesliga, it seems to me that they've been obviously bought.
Yes.
Clearly bought. Germany.
Yeah, right. Just one last thing on this. Jules is here to talk about PSG. Julien, you were at the game at the Allianz Arena. We've talked about it a lot. What would you like to add?
I mean, I didn't hear what you said, obviously.
It was brilliant. It was fantastic analysis. Jan waffled on for a while.
I'm sure it was. I just thought it was an amazing atmosphere, to be fair, but we know, Jan knows as well, Ali as well, when you go to the Allianz or when you watch those games, the atmosphere was incredible. Obviously, the moment of genius from Kroos in the first half and then from Vini in the second half kept Real Madrid in it, really. But I thought Thomas Tuchel, the changes that he made at half-time, we saw Leroy Sané coming out of the dressing room really early at half-time to go and warm up on the pitch on the right-hand side where Bayern would attack, and clearly announcing the change in tactics. And that worked because that turned the games really around for Tuchel and Bayern. But then Real Madrid are Real Madrid, as we always say. They've got something extra special. So the second leg is going to be epic next week.
Where are you, Jules?
Sorry?
Where are you? Are you in a hotel
I'm in the
room?
hotel.
No, it looks a lot smaller than Jan's. Jan's is much plusher.
He's in the attic of the hotel room. In the attic.
Well, he's on our budget.
And then Lewis is in the Royal Palace.
Yes.
I actually think
Royal.
I actually now thinking that he's been detained in Brunei.
Do you think so? Through sleep deprivation. Jules, I've asked everyone else. You've actually got the deciding vote. It's 2-2 as to who's going through.
Yeah, 2-2 I said for the first leg as well. I think Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, I just can't see this Bayern team as good as they can be at times and as good as Musiala and Sané can be when they go one-on-one with their defenders like we saw today in the second half. I still don't think that they can go to Madrid and win over there. Even if they play for the draw to go to pens, I'm just not sure they can do that. So I'll go for Real Madrid once more.
Oh, Jan's angry.
How was it 2-2 going into Jules' vote?
Because you said 2, you're Real Madrid and those 2 were Bayern Munich.
No. Luis said Real Madrid.
Did he?
Kind of. Scenic route, Real Madrid. Scenic route.
I didn't say
Luis, go and get some sleep. Thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated. Just a reminder.
6:30 a.m.
6:30 a.m.
He's going to go play golf now. That's great.
Real Madrid are in action, of course. Good double-header for you on Saturday, actually. Barcelona taking on Girona. Before that, Real Madrid are in action as they take on Cadiz at the Santiago Bernabeu.